So San Diego home sales pick up as the median price rises. It's a good headline, but what does that even mean? So if you are a buyer out there, what does that mean for you? If you're a seller out there, what does that mean for you? That's what we're going to break down in this video. I'm going to give you 3 things on each side to keep an eye on over these next few months, so that if you are looking to buy a home, you are looking to sell a home, you're going to be well informed and know exactly what's going on beyond these headlines. So let's get into it right now. So over these past few years, the median price point has continued to go up on a relative basis. We did see a slight dip down here in December, latter half of 2022. And then you have your typical ups and downs throughout the year. January, going into February and March, you usually see that rise. So going from January at $830 median price to where we are now at $890, not too uncommon to see. I mean, it's a big price fluctuation, but to see that rise is not too crazy. So median price point is kind of interesting. All it is the middle price point. So there's half the homes sold below this price point, half the homes sold above this price point. If you are searching for a home, it doesn't really mean much to you, but it's always good to have as a kind of a holding place to see what is, where prices are trending. Are we going sideways as we had seen in past years? Are we going up significantly? Are we going down? Right now, the median price is continuing to rise, and we're above last year's peaks of $875,000 in August of 2023 and April/May of 2022 of $865,000. So as we hop into active listings, one of the number one things that is continuing to drive prices up is the lack of number of homes for sale. Even with elevated interest rates like we have seen over these past, today, let me bring up this right here. This is where we were up above 7, kind of at the end of March, dropped back down and stayed relatively in that 6-9 range for a few. And you can see from last Thursday to today, it jumped back up over 7%. So what we've seen with elevated interest rates, that 7 number, that 7 handle, if you see 7 and above, typically we see it slow down a little bit. But what we have seen, and this is going to play into it as well, is the more movement we have, the more aggressive the movement has been, up or down. That's usually a better indicator, as opposed to if we're having steady interest rates. It's hovering like right around here. It was hovering. So we're a little bit more stable. And then we have this big price jump up. We've seen consumers out there get a little more, especially if it's jumping up, a little more wait and see at that point, as opposed to following it down, where we see more buyers get into the market. So even with the elevated interest rates, one of the big stories here, this is active listings. So the number of homes currently on the market here in San Diego County, and it's trending down. So 2,849 as of, this is the March numbers recently came out. So back, I like to say a normal year was April, well, in 2019 in general, before we kind of went through the frenzy and the pandemic and all that kind of stuff. But a more normalized number is like 10,000. And that's peak during the, busier seller times and buyer times, kind of as we are right now, as we're going into March, heading towards the summer. That's typically when you see the most active homes come on the market. That's also when you typically see the most sales right here in San Diego County. You did see the drop off, just typical towards the end of the year, settling right around 6,000. So the 8,000 to 10,000 mark is a typical where, we would kind of trend during normal times. And over the last few years, it has been down, pop up, down. And now we haven't seen really that pop up. It's just been trending sideways. One thing that has popped up a little bit, which once again, as you see all these little dips, these are all Decembers, where the new listings, the number of new homes coming on the market, is going to be the lowest it is throughout the entire year. So you can see all these dips, and then we see a big jump out coming into January. Now, we'd want to see this continue higher for buyers out there. If you are a buyer, you want to see this number go up, because the more new listings come on, obviously the more choices you have. But one thing I do think we can expect as buyers is more homes coming on the market, because typically we don't really peak out until May, June, July-ish. You can see all these are kind of that midsummer where we see the number of new listings coming onto the market goes relatively higher going into the summer. So even though we did have a January bump and then, February, a little bit bump up in March, typically we'd see this line continue up for the foreseeable future. So that's one other thing buyers can look out for, is potentially more homes coming onto the market. The other thing for buyers is potentially elevated interest rates. So we've been hovering above or at near this 7 for quite a while now. And with what's happening with the Federal Reserve, all they don't control the interest rates. They do have some momentum one way or the other. So as the 10-year treasury goes up, it tends to elevate the mortgage rates, which is what we're seeing right now. That's why we are above 7% again. And it correlates with what the Fed's doing. If they say they're going to cut a lot, there's just less volatility you're going to expect. As a buyer out there, for the foreseeable future, you can probably expect elevated interest rates, depending on what you consider elevated. Above 7, below 7 is kind of that mark we've seen recently. And one other thing for buyers, you can expect more competition. So over these past few weeks, as we kind of gear up into the spring selling market, we've seen more and more multiple offers for our clients out there. And it's really at various price points, but the more competitive is that, move up or starter homes, move up homes. And then as you get into the luxury homes, it's a little bit slower, but still competition across a lot of price points here in San Diego. And this right here is going to be the percent of original price point, meaning how much above asking price did they get or how much below asking price did they get. You can see back in January or the end of December and January of 2023, it was sitting at 96%. So let's say $1 million home, you were looking at a purchase price or a closing price rather. And this isn't like for every house, this is the average, obviously, but it was about $960,000. As we got competitive going into that typical standard selling season right here, it jumped up above 100%, came back down towards the end of last year. And now we are trending back up. We just crossed over 100% again. So as a buyer out there, that's going to mean multiple offer situations. And as a seller out there, the three things you can expect are going to be kind of the opposite of the buyers. So you can expect more competition for your home. There's a neighborhood I keep a real close eye in Encinitas. And as homes were popping up through this spring selling season, there was a decent amount of homes on the market. But right now, there's one home on the market and 6 homes that are pending. Homes that are coming on the market that are prepped well, that are priced well, are going under contract pretty darn quick. And you can see from this, they're going above asking price a little bit. Now, we're not in the 106 to 107% that we did see in the frenzy of 2022, but you can still see it is trending up. Another thing you can expect as a seller is faster days on market, faster from the time you list your home till where you go under contract. Now, when the escrow period, it really depends on what was negotiated. We just got beat out by an escrow that was 11 days. We just got closed an escrow that was 30 days. There's some that are a little longer, a little shorter, but the actual days that your home is sitting on the market, when you're having open houses, when you're having showings, when you're having all that, you can expect that to continue to go down as we go into the selling season. More buyers out there. You can see from January of this year, it was 28 days on average, down to 25, 24. And we're seeing more and more where it's like only a few days on the market, especially those homes that are dialed in great locations that a lot of people want to cruise to. You can see back in 2023, we jumped up to 37. And let's go back to a normalized year back in 2019, 36s, anything, you're above 30. So we're trending well below that right now. And circling all the way back to median sales price. As a seller, you can expect to get top dollar for your home right now. And if interest rates took a big jump up into that 8% range, that would definitely slow it down. If we're steady around the high 6s to 7s, I'd assume all these things that we were just talking about are going to continue to move forward. But like I said, if we have a big fluctuation up, it will slow down a bit for buyers. If we have a big fluctuation down, meaning a drop in interest rates, we can see the market heat back up significantly again, even though right now we are still seeing it heat up with 7% interest rates. So if you guys are thinking about making a move, you got some questions, you want to dive in, feel free to reach out. All of our contact info is right below. I'm Chris Erickson, and we got your back when making the move here in San Diego.